Quincy Skinner will turn heads this fall for Vandy.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 with any winning $5 bet. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Today's episode, we discuss the Vandyboys bid into the Clemson Regional. Langston Patterson will anchor the defensive front, but first, Quincy Skinner will turn heads for Vandy on offense. Man, Quincy Skinner could very easily be a breakout for Vandy's offense, and let me tell you why. Okay, this is going to, when you look at Vandy's offense, okay, we've talked about the structure of it, the identity, the playmakers, things like that. Talked about Chase Mitchell potentially being a massive upgrade on the offensive line and being able to change the game there. But we haven't really talked about the weapons on the perimeter all that much. We've been focused on the run game a little bit. We've been focused on some of the new transfer guys coming in. Diego Pavia, he's obviously he's in the building now. He's in the house. He's going to wear number 2 for the Commodores, so that's going to be good. He's excited about that. He said on his Instagram post he's back in the number 2, so that's good for him. Any bit of swag, any bit of confidence we can give Diego Pavia is going to be good. So, but yeah, Quincy Skinner, man, he's gonna ball out, dude. And I think when you look at the way this offense is going to be constructed, I think you're going to need somebody that is really good at quick game. You're going to need somebody that's tough. You're going to need somebody that can block on the perimeter, and you're going to need somebody who can catch, make contested catches in traffic, things like that, and get yards after the catch as well, get tough yardage after the catch. And I think Quincy Skinner could do just about all of that, right? And this is so important for to open up things. And if he, the importance of him being good at these things, I think just means that this offense will indeed just open way up, right? And the reason why is that a lot of these schemes are going to be designed through RPO. A lot of these run schemes are going to have RPO attached to it so that it can account for perimeter guys. It can draw people out of the box potentially, or if it doesn't, it can open up passing lanes to get the ball to your playmakers. And one guy in particular that's been just kind of patient on the roster last year, got a little bit of time amongst the big 3 that just left, but had a really, really nice spring in all of his one-on-one reps, team reps, things like that, became kind of the de facto leader of that unit, of the wide receiver unit. And Quincy Skinner is somebody that will thrive in this scheme. And slant routes, hitch routes, glance routes, which are a little bit deeper slants, things like that. Just quick screens, things that get him the ball in his hands quickly, will benefit him probably the most. I think he'll benefit from that. Whereas like Darian Wiley will run deep and intermediate, probably some quick game as well. He'll be the beneficiary of that too. Jeremiah Dillon, obviously all of these guys, if they're on the outside, will be beneficiaries of quick game and RPO. But like what's best suited, I've been comparing everything to a puzzle, right? And how do the puzzle pieces fit? And Quincy Skinner's puzzle piece, I think he's going to be the main component in quick game. I think he's going to quickly build a rapport with Diego Pavia. I think you look at him blocking on the perimeter for guys like Micah Bell or Darian Wiley, things like that. Like he's a tough physical guy, and he's got a little bit of attitude about him, and he'll be able to get things going on the perimeter, run game if there's outside zone coming his way. He doesn't strike me as somebody that's going to be scared to come down and crack a linebacker or crack a safety and just open up something on the perimeter for the running back or the quarterback if it's a quarterback outside run. So just all those things he brings to the table. I think the words that come to mind with him are versatile, tough, physical, smart, and he's somebody that, of course, being having a spring leg up with some of these summer, where some of these summer guys are coming in, they got to learn the offense. He's already kind of well versed in it with having spring practice under his belt. He's going to be one of the leaders that could start on the outside at the Z position where he's off the ball and he can go in motion and things like that. He's, again, just what a lot of the things he brings to the table, I think will be very, very good for this receiving core. And, some of the short digs, the slants, crossing routes, things that allow him to get the ball in his hands quicker will benefit him because he's not quite as tall as those other guys, which means, like fades down in the red zone probably may not be his forte. Although I have seen him go up and get, something on a defensive back. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I think there's some guys better suited for those type of routes. But you got to look at kind of what he brings to the table physically, which again, it's just going to be that guy that is super reliable. And when you need a big 3rd and 6 catch, a good slant where you catch it at 3 and bang your way to 4 more yards to move the sticks, he's going to be that guy. You need 8. He's going to run a curl at 10. He's going to have defenders closing on him. He knows he's going to get popped, makes the catch, gets the first down. Right, he's going to be somebody that's going to take a quick screen. Let's say you're down close to the red zone. He's going to take a quick screen. Boom, he's going to rut for 10 because he's going to be tough to tackle. Things like that will be what kind of separates him. I don't see him breaking off any long routes. I could be wrong, but I don't see him breaking off, long bombs or, 60, 70 yard pass routes or quick screens that he takes to the house in those regards. I see him being a guy that eats up chunk yardage, 10 yards here, 8 yards there, 15 yards here, 15 turning into 20 here, something that in the red zone, he runs a glance to the near goal post and, you catch it on the back line, those things like those type of yardage, that type of yardage, those type of plays. So it's going to be good. And then there's a whole other component to this thing. And he has a chance to contribute on special teams too. Like he very well could enter himself into the punt and kick return battle. I don't think that's out of the question either. But he's somebody that I think when you look at the impact that he can make, obviously the physical impact is going to be very, very good. It's going to be, well, not very good. It's going to be great. And the things that he can do, but also the things he can do emotionally, psychologically, mentally, those things as well. I mean, when you look at his game and how it's constructed, he feeds off that energy, right? So let's go back to my example of 3rd and 6, catches the ball at 3, bangs out 3.5 yards, gets the first down. He's freaking jacked up about that, especially let's say the yardage is at the -10 and you just picked up a first down to get yourself out of the shadow. Well, he does that, gets excited, quarterback trusts him, offensive lines, again, it's a trickle down effect. Offensive line starts blocking a little bit harder, and people around him just start playing harder, including himself. He brings juice into the offense. Okay, we can move the ball. Okay, all right. Running back gets it. He runs a little bit harder now. Okay, Diego Pavia maybe slips out of a sack, whereas before he may be nervous, he may be pressing a little bit, but now he's relaxed a little bit and he can make some plays. The other guys in a competitive spirit, but also a winning spirit, and they're happy for him, but they're going to go harder to and do all those things so that they can get the ball too. And this competitive spirit now turns into 15 yards here, 25 yards there. The next thing you know, over the top, and it may not even be Quincy Skinner that gets the benefit of that. It may be Jeremiah Dillon over the top because defenses are kind of back on their heels a little bit. You get a little bit of confidence with those guys, and boom, somebody else is making a play. Quincy Skinner probably be first one down there, celebrate. So it's psychologically, it just boosts like those type of plays, those physical, tough, like we need some gritty freaking yards, and you're going to get them. Those are things that boost this offense. And so I'm excited about Quincy. I think he's somebody that's earned a role just, by being patient, not transferring, battling through the spring, learning the offense. And he may earn himself, he's still got to go and get it in fall camp because it's not going to be given to him. But I think he's got a leg up, and I think he's got a really, really good shot at doing it. So, that benefits the entire offense. And when the offense is playing good, the defense is playing good. And we talked to Marlon Jones yesterday on the back end where lockdown coverage is going to be a confidence booster for this defense because it shortens the field. Well, if teams aren't able to run, it really limits what opposing offenses are able to do. And Langston Patterson will be a big reason why teams aren't going to be able to run that well. We'll talk about him next. All right, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL playoffs, and FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. And that's right. If you want to really bet the underdog, you can take Minnesota or Indiana as they're both down 3-0. You could probably, if you take them to win the series, you could probably get some big odds. It's not likely, but you could get some big odds nonetheless. But right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money lines, player props, parlays, whatever you want, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's number one sportsbook. All right. Are you watching ESPN or Fox Sports? Are you tired of all that shouting? Do you need to turn the TV down even? Well, you should do that. Or before you do that, you should make the switch to Locked On Sports today. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So welcome back. Of course, thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. Thank you to the everydayers. You guys make all of this possible. Without you, I wouldn't be where I'm at. The road to 1,000 is it got off to a slow start, picked up, and then is now kind of slowed back down a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to get there, and it's going to be because of people like you, everydayers. Make sure you tell your friends, spread the word, and let's make this thing happen. I'm this close to 300. And I think by football season, I can get there. So that being said, this defensive front, man, it's going to be a group ultimately led by, I don't want to say no names because that's not necessarily the right thing to say, because there's going to be some guys that ball out like Cordy Sindor, Zaylen Wood. But, I think when you look at this unit, probably the most important piece is going to be the guy that's going to put it all together and make all the calls, align everybody properly, diagnose, run, pass, where it's going, try to pick up tendencies as they happen live on the field. And that's going to be Langston Patterson. The CPA product here from local boy from Nashville decided not to transfer when there was a mass exodus after a disappointing, abysmal 2-10 season. So hats off to him for not transferring and sticking with it. First of all, it just kind of shows that he still thinks there's something that can be done. He thinks there's you think there's plays out there to be had. You think he knows there's success out there on the table. And, and I don't know if he really truly knew that Clark Lea was going to turn over a new leaf unless he, met with him prior and decided to, stick it out and give Clark Lea a chance, which is very possible. But, nonetheless, I think he's going to benefit with this new defense because it's going to be a more aggressive attacking style of defense. And before you say this has been Clark Lea's defense all along, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's been kind of his shell, but I think the mistake that he's made is he's allowed other people to come in and kind of call it their way or construct it their way. And that's not necessarily the winning formula here. And I think Clark Lea finally figured that out. And so now he's calling the defense himself, and he's going to be the beneficiary of it. Langston Patterson's going to be the beneficiary of it. These corners are going to do really well. The defensive backfield, the secondary is going to thrive in this scheme because there's going to be a lot of pressure up front, and they're not going to have to cover long. And it's not going to be a read and react type defense. It's going to be aggressive, come after you type defense, which is what Vandy needs, right? Vandy needs to be outside the box, right? They need to think outside the box. They need to do something different, something unique. And if they can do that, that's where they're going to be successful. And in doing that, defensive line is going to slant more, twist more. You're going to see probably more linebacker blitz. You're going to see linebackers playing aggressively downhill because you're going to have some things covered. You're going to see, I think you're going to see good organization. I think you're going to see a ton of energy. And Langston Patterson is going to be one of those guys. Corday Sindor is going to be one of those guys. Colby Taylor is going to be one of those guys that brings energy. CJ Taylor, of course. Him and Langston Patterson are going to be the leaders of this defense because A, they're incumbent starters. B, they've been around for a while. And C, they know what it's like to have a crap season, even more so than anybody that's transferred in. I don't think anybody transferred in was worse, coming from a worse team. That's for sure. So they know what it feels like and what they don't want to feel like after this coming up season. And so they're going to do everything in their power to do it. So as we continue this breakout series, we look out breakout potential. Like this guy's going to be an absolute star. We talked about Marlon Jones. We talked about Chase Mitchell. We talked about Quincy Skinner. Those guys have potential to be absolute stars. And Langston Patterson's the next guy on the list. He's, again, he's very smart, very heady. I think he picks up on things really fast. I think he can snuff out tendencies. I think he can pick up on backfield patterns, personnel grouping patterns, where they're at on the field relative to down and distance. I think he's got an awareness for a lot of that stuff. And so you're gonna see this defense being led on the field by what's going to seem to be Clark Lea's extension, right? It's going to be Langston Patterson. And so aggressively downhill. I mean, he's physical. He'll hit you. He makes plays. He's around the football a lot. He's disruptive. And he's going to be somebody that, again, is going to be in the right place at the right time. So you have all of that. So what does that do for a defense, right? When you have a guy like that as a coordinator, let's start there. As a coordinator, you have a guy like that, you're going to get great intel to be able to make your calls. Okay. So you're going to get on headset with him between series, and you're going to be really, or not. Well, Clark Lea won't get on headset with him. He'll just go over there and talk to him, but you're going to get really good intel from him about what he's seeing, what they're doing, what's similar, what's different to what they saw on film, or what they showed on film. And you're going to be able to get a point of view that you may not have been able to get the last few years, because not everybody can give you that. You're going to get an emotional boost, right? This guy's going to play hard. He's going to make plays, and he's going to let you know about it. And he's going to juice this defense up as if in conjunction. And the beautiful thing about it is he's not going to be the only one, and he's not going to need to be the only one, and he knows that. So he can sit back and make plays. He can be patient. He can bring his energy when the other guys aren't, like when Colby Taylor's not on the field or things like that. Like he can bring supplemental energy. He doesn't need to be the primary guy on that, and that's what's going to allow him to do what he does best, and that's freaking get after you, just bam, 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 just hammer, just anchor down on that defense. So it's I'm excited to see him blitz. I'm excited to see this defense fly around a little bit with a little bit of pride, a little bit of kind of get after you-ness to it. And that's my newest adjective, if you didn't know. But you're going to see great leadership, and you're going to see somebody that's going to be the emotional support guy for this defense, especially this defensive front. Because not only is he going to bring the energy and bring the juice, but like, let's say this is where he's also valuable too as a leader. Let's say there's a big drive. Let's say you're playing Texas and they have a big drive on you. The second series of the game, you have a really good 3-and-out. First series, you come back, they drive the ball 10 plays and punch one in for a touchdown. Well, think about how disappointing that is. Think about how upset guys are going to be. Think about the communication that's going to be taking place on the sidelines. Well, if you have an unhealthy program that doesn't have very good leadership from, player-led leadership or even head coach leadership or both, there'd be a lot of yelling, a lot of cussing, a lot of this on the sideline. Well, here's where I think Langston Patterson can be valuable. He's been involved in this before last season. I think there was a lot of this going on with the 2-10 team. And it's not healthy, and he knows that. And that'll be one of the things I think he buys into and changes, because he knows that how valuable it can be if they just calm down, make the adjustments, and go. Because that's what's going to need to happen for this defense to really kind of get on the right foot and stay on the right foot versus, okay, you played hard, your talent took you so far, now you fall apart because you can't really get it together emotionally. You can't really get it together mentally because you're either reeling or you are reading your own press clippings somewhat. So you've got to kind of pick your spots of when to be tough, when to be a tough leader, tough love leader, and when to rally the troops, or when to, okay, hey, look, we gave this up because of this. Here's how we're going to fix it. Solutions oriented approach. So I think he's smart enough to recognize when the defense needs a certain type of encouragement, and occasionally you do need a kick in the rear end. It happens. It's necessary sometimes. So anyway, speaking of kick in the rear end, the Vandyboys got a kick in the rear end at some point between the last regular season game and the SEC tournament, because they showed out. And now they're headed to, as a number 2 seed, into the Clemson regional. We'll talk about their journey and what it looks like next. All right, welcome back. We wrap up the show here on the Locked On Vandy podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your first listen. Thank you for making us your everyday listen. For you everydayers, I appreciate you certainly. Make sure you make Locked On SEC your next listen. And if you want to be the most educated fan base in the conference, make sure you check out the host of other shows that we have in the SEC on this network. My advice would be start with the schedule and work your way down. Start with the regional schedule. Maybe go listen to Locked On Clemson. See what they're talking about baseball, about the regionals. See if they're matching what I'm talking about. So anyway, go do that, and I promise you won't be disappointed. So anyway, Vandyboys are headed to Clemson for the regional, and it's going to be fun, dude. It's going to be a good regional. It's going to be very competitive. Clemson obviously is the national seed here. They also host Coastal Carolina and High Point. So I think getting to I think getting to the number 1 seed Clemson will be the goal. Obviously, High Point probably won't put up much of resistance. Coastal Carolina is pretty sporty. Clemson's really good. And so it'll be a tough region to get out of, but should they get out of it, they are paired with the Oklahoma State Regional, which features 4 seed Niagara, 3 seed Florida, 2 seed Nebraska, and of course the 1 seed host Oklahoma State. And there's a scenario in this where the super regionals would occur right here in Nashville. So I never thought I'd say this, but maybe root for Florida and root for Vandy, obviously, because if Florida wins, Vandy hosts the super regional. So just keep that in mind. That'll be fun. So anyway, that's looking way ahead. So they're obviously on the road now to Omaha. So they got Coastal Carolina on Friday, which, I read a thread that they played, a lot of Vandy players played with Coastal Carolina players in the summer league. So with baseball, they go to the summer league. And so they go to areas like Cape Cod and things like that. So they all kind of played together. And so they know each other. They have rapport and all that good stuff. So that's going to be, that's going to be a lot of fun. So listen, this group is a special group. You got to look at what they can do for themselves. They make their 18th straight regionals appearance. It's a record, man. That's impressive. That's very, very impressive. So I'm excited to see that, which also another breath of fresh air for Vandy is that they're expecting Carter Holton, Ethan McIlvain, and Jaden Davis to be back for the regionals because they'd been kind of out and beat up and banged up. So that's going to be a lot of fun. McIlvain will get some more run out there. Carter Holton will get some more run. Jaden Davis will bring his pop back into the lineup. He hasn't been in the lineup in quite some time due to injury. And his bat breaking back into this, maybe you'll see some early season form here where Vandy was not only pitching lights out, but they were hitting the ball too. At one point, Vandy was hitting the ball a little bit. And Jaden Davis was part of the group behind that. And so you have emergence of Braden Holcomb. You have RJ Austin, who's been hitting well all season. Alan Espinal, who's probably been one of the best catchers in the SEC. He's going to get to continue to shine at the plate. JD Thompson has become kind of the emotional leader of this Vandy pitching staff, which when he's on the bump, all things are good, man. And there's a lot of promise there with this Vandy team. They're hot at the right time. They have a little chip on the shoulder now because of the way they finished the season. Everybody's been doubting them. They kind of finished very rocky to the end of the season. I know they had some injuries, but still, you never like to finish that like that. But they found a nice combo. They found a nice lineup. Calvin Hewitt has come into form out there in the outfield. JD Polk, Jacob Humphrey coming in every once in a while, pinch hitting or bringing speed to the lineup. But yeah, I mean, it's a good group. Once you find the right order, once you find kind of the right combination of speed and bats, you can get some really good stuff out of that. You can get some good innings out of those guys. You can get there's a lot of potential you have there. Jonathan Vastine at short is somebody that has the speed and a little bit of pop as well. Jaden Davis coming back in at second base will be huge because it'll allow Camden Kozel to go back to the DH role where you can have some pop there. Espinal behind the plate, probably going to go for the duration of the regionals. Calvin Hewitt has got to be a fixture out there in the outfield. Troy LaNeve the other guys will probably Jacob Humphrey, Troy LaNeve. Those guys will probably rotate through as they kind of navigate through the tournament. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be good, and you're going to see. you're going to see some things now. You're going to see a team that's now motivated, that's got a chip on their shoulder, right? You're going to see a team that, will do some things, right? So I'm excited about this super regional potential, right? I'm excited about that. But before we get to that, you have to get through Coastal Carolina first, then High Point, then probably Clemson, and then kind of see how it all shakes out. You do have a chance, looking at all the different brackets. This was one that I was somewhat excited to see because this regional seems like we got a very good draw with the regional. I think you look at the other ones like Oklahoma State with Florida, and those are tough, man. Those are real tough, and so you have to kind of take it as as that comes. And so when as you go, I think Georgia's regional is going to be pretty good. I think you're going to see Georgia do really well. Charlie Condon being in this tournament is going to be a lot of fun. I look up some of these. Tennessee's bracket's going to be kind of tough. The College Station bracket, we have Louisiana, Texas A&M, Texas as the 3 seed in that bracket. That would have been a fun one for Vandy to get into because they beat 2 of those teams out in that Houston Invitational. A&M's obviously a hard team. North Carolina, the number 1 overall seed. There's a curse there, but you get LSU and North Carolina in the same regional. Ooh, buckle up there. Virginia, Mississippi State, Penn, and St. John's. That would have been an okay bracket to get into. Arkansas, Louisiana Tech, Kansas State, Southeast Missouri State in the Fayetteville regional. Arkansas is really good. I don't know if that would have kind of been tough to get out of. The Greenville regional, East Carolina being the 1 seed there, that would have been a pretty easy one. Kentucky, Indiana State, Tennessee, Southern Miss, with Indiana as the 3 seed there. These are pretty solid regionals. The 1 seeds through all these regionals are actually really, really good. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's going to be a fun tournament nonetheless. And so you're looking at a lot of potential here for a really, really good baseball tournament. But that's going to be all I got for you today. Kurt Page is coming on very, very soon. So I look forward to chopping it up with him. And we always get some great content when Kurt comes on board. So staying tuned for that. But that's going to be all we have. If you like what you saw, follow us on social media, find us, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, anchor down.